Čau! S toplimi dnevi se je odprla tudi sezona za gledanje filmov na prostem, pod zvezdami, ki jih lahko ulovite marsikje, naj si bo to v Škofji Loki, naj si bo to v Slovenj Gradcu, na nočeh v Stari Ljubljani in tako naprej. Praktično skoraj v vsakem mestu. Ampak v Istri še dobro, da je Kino Istra, kajti letni Kino Arigoni bo do konca avgusta po trenutnih informacijah ostal kino le v imenu. Ampak o problematiki le tega mogoče kdaj drugič. Za začetek pa seveda novice. Celovečerni dokumentarni film Gora se ne bo premaknila. Petre Seliškar je na mednarodnem filmskem festivalu v mehiški Guadalajari prejel nagrado, in sicer nagrado za najboljši družbeno-okoljski film. To je sicer eden največjih filmskih festivalov v Južni Ameriki, potekal pa je od 6. do 14. junija. Film Gora se ne bo premaknila prikazuje 5 bratov in sester, starih tam nekje od 8 pa vse do 20 let, ki vsako poletje preživijo v severno-makedonskih gorah, kjer pasejo ovce. Film je svetovno premiero doživel aprila na 56. mednarodnem filmskem festivalu Vision Durel v Švici, prejšnji teden pa so ga prikazali na filmskem festivalu v Bologni. V Sloveniji bo na ogled konec septembra v Cankarjevem domu v sklopu projekta Naši filmi doma.
Jaz slušam od stari luđavak. Site kućini, ako će ga imaš da vidat braća. Samo je jedna majka. Od ti nema da se utepa među se mirisat isto.
Životinji, ozeti.
Ama ti jej ne može da gi udava. Oti braća i jedni drugi se spasi.
Mislim, da ga nismo poslednji tukaj, šar se razpravljamo po planini. Kud vi? Ma tajnice se skam kuška.
V teh dneh prihaja tudi nekaj recimo da športnih filmov iz domačih krajev. Za začetek serija o odbojkarjih Bratje z igrišča je že na voljo za ogled na spletnih videoplatformah. V četrtek pa bodo na TV Slovenija tudi premierno predvajali nov dokumentarni film scenarista in režiserja Boštjana Vrhovca. V film je zajel vidik jadralcev. Film se imenuje Morjeplovci, poleg jadralcev pa so zraven še raziskovalci, pesniki in podvodni fotograf, a.k.a. Arne Hodalič, ter skozi njihove občutke je potem opozoril na okoljevarstvene probleme. Režiser v glavnem pravi, da je želel opozoriti na problematičen odnos človeka do morja. V filmu na to opozori tudi dr. Tilen Genov iz Slovenskega društva za morske sesalce Morigenos, ki razloži, da je celoten planet, na katerem živimo, neposredno odvisen od morja. Iz njega dobimo večji del kisika, večji del hrane, pomembno pa je tudi iz čustvenega ali celo spiritualnega vidika. Če pa že govorimo o okoljevarstvu, pa bo kaj kmalu na sporedu tudi še nov športni film, ampak o enem od bolj umazanih športov. Formuli 1. Natančneje imenoval se bo F1, v kinematografe pa prihaja 27. junija. V njem bo kot izmišljeni voznik Formule 1 nastopil Brad Pitt, produciral pa ga je celo Lewis Hamilton, ki naj bi Pittu razložil podrobnosti, kot so, kdaj naj bi vozniki zavirali ali menjavali prestave in podobno. Film so delno snemali na resničnih tekmovanjih Formule 1, v Abu Dhabiju, Mexico Cityju in drugih tekmovališčih Grand Prixja. Dejansko so snemali med kratkimi premori, med vožnjami na progi, med tekmami. Zdaj, glavna igralca Pete in Idris sta se dejansko naučila profesionalne vožnje pri velikih hitrostih, zato da sta lahko snemala. Film F1 pa je sicer režiral Joseph Kosinski in produciral Jerry Bruckheimer. V bistvu isti dvojec, ki je za Top Gun Maverick leta 2022 posnel scene bitk med letali. Pri tem sta pri F1, torej sta morala biti spet inovativna, saj so morali nekatere kamere na novo namestiti na resnične formule, za kar so uporabili nekaj tehnologije iPhone-ov. Ampak pri tem so poskušali biti čim bolj zvesti resničnemu izgledu kamer, ki omogočajo ekipi videti, kaj se dogaja v formuli. Tokrat so morali pač doseči še eno stvar in to je bila visoka resolucijska slika.
Some people look at Sonny Hayes. They see a guy who lives in a van, a gambling junkie who missed his shot, the best that never was. But I see possibility.
And if you don't love me now, we'll never.
My rook is a phenomenal talent, but he's young.
Ever break the chain.
You plus him, boom! I got a team.
I can still.
When was the last time you won a race?
Sunday, Daytona.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Formula One.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then same as you.
There's this new guy. He's old. He's such a prick. He's quick though.
If you had any constructive criticism for each other, what would it be?
Don't be such an ass.
dickhead. That was constructive.
Wow.
Did you win something? There's 20 other drivers still out on that track. Do you think any of them respect us?
They're saying Sonny Hayes isn't a has-been. He's a never was.
If the last thing I do is drive that car, I will take that life, man. 1,000 times.
I'm offering you an open seat in Formula One. The only place you could say, if you win, you are the absolute best in the world.
Ever break the chain.
Zdaj pa se spet vračamo na že končani Kino Otok in razmišljamo o filmu še malo bolj teoretično, ampak na podlagi prakse. 4 filmski avtorji so vsak dan točno opoldne na istoimenskem dogodku na okrogli mizi spregovorili o filmski ustvarjalnosti, moči filmskega izraza in sovplivanju filmov in okolij, v katerih ustvarjajo. No, tukaj je odlomek iz prve okrogle mize v seriji, na kateri je za začetek režiser Sami van Ingen, sicer prav vnuk Roberta Flahertyja, razložil, zakaj se je sploh lotil sporočanja zgodbe skozi medij filma. Sploh glede na to, da sam tudi piše in se loteva drugih področij umetnosti.
First of all, cinema is quite a fascinating tool because you can lock up a lot of people into a room, force them to sit one way and listen to whatever you're telling them. So unlike a gallery situation where people quite voluntarily go in and go out, cinema is a very strong way of forcing people to receive your input, whatever you're giving them. So it's a kind of a nice, a very nearly a violent kind of way of hurting people. So I'm very much aware of that, and every time, like now, I'm showing a film that's 2 hours long, and I feel that if there's anybody in the cinema in the end of the film, they've given 2 hours of their life to I force them to watch whatever I present to them, and I like and dread cinema for that reason. Then as a medium, as a kind of a tool or method or whatever it is. Then when things are kind of live, if you do a performance with people, it's easier for them to leave, but it's also then you're more vulnerable. Cinema is also very safe for the filmmaker because once it's packed, and if your DCP works, you know, you're kind of safe, and so it has that kind of quite violent side of engagement with the audience, and then at the same time it has that kind of like safety for the filmmaker. And I'm very much aware of those two things because I also do other kind of work. But that's the reason I'm like this work I'm presenting today. The topic and the way what I'm presenting suits that kind of quite. It's a job to go and see my film. There's a warning, but it might be worth it.
Producentka in scenaristka Marina Gumzi je svojo umetniško pot pričela v gledališču, ampak je nazadnje vseeno pristala pri filmu. Na Kino Otoku je sodelovala kar z 2 filmoma, in sicer s kratkim filmom Navadna hruška in celovečernim Filme o morte.
I started theatre at the beginning, and once I thought I would do some literature things or write or whatever. But I really, really appreciate film, the medium. It's a bit more of a, I guess, rational answer to it, because it allows for a process to happen within which some kind of this knowledge can be gained, which individuals that are part of the process alone don't have it. So I find it, or it's the nicest for me when the community that gathers around film, and this is the films I like to participate in, the process kind of gives them the opportunity to become different or to change or to find another dimension to the topic that they were they thought they were interested in. So the element of time and what it can do to people and to the community, that's really fascinating to me. And this is why I guess I engage, consciously engage, or it so happens, into films that take a lot of time. Like all of our films took enormous amount of time to be made, to be thought of and to be made. And while it's difficult to work with such chunks of time, apropos the financiers, or the people that kind of force you to produce, I've really trusted that long time going somewhere, not knowing things, checking your curiosity, being desperate, frustrated, but then finding something. I think Medij said once, Medij mentioned, which we also worked at some point, that it's nice when the film is smarter than you. I really like that idea, and I would then, in this case, change it into the process is smarter than people. It kind of kills the arrogance, I think. Of course, not all films are like that, and nothing happens in the process, or people just do what they always saw doing, and that's also fine, but maybe less interesting for me.
It's interesting because many people are, the word making is not right, but about, I've been making this film for years and years, and I forgot what I wanted to do.
Yeah, of course it's draining and it's physically difficult and mentally, and you feel stuck in this river and you can't go back, and you feel you can't go further, but you eventually do go somewhere. But the feeling of stuckness is part of that process also, and it's not a nice feeling. But still, at the end, maybe with a few, I don't have many experience, but with a few experience I have, the reward at the end is still, it does make sense for me, a lot of sense. And with all the, all the physical and existential dreadful things that come along, like being poor and being exhausted and not knowing who you are when you're going and whether you'll be able to pay the rent and all kind of things. It's still, at the end of the day, it's still it still makes sense. And I think both of the films that are playing here, which is really, as you said, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to present both of them here. I think even more than other, maybe they tackle this subject of time and of the duration and of the passing of time and the history and the different kind of time levels. So yeah, that's so inspiring for me.
Režiser in scenarist Ivan Salatić je dejal, da bi na vprašanje, zakaj je izbral prav medij filma, verjetno lažje odgovoril pred 10 leti, ko bi bil še bolj direkten in samozavesten. No, danes pa, da pravzaprav ne ve več, kako nanj odgovoriti, ker tako pač je.
Films changed my life in so many ways, and I had this great opportunity to make them. So I'm really grateful for that, and I really also like the thing that you have to really struggle to make a film. I think it's good because it takes commitment, which is rare these days. So even if the film is bad, it's something that you really dedicate your time to, and not only you, but the people around you. So even if it's a bad film, you're not going to the cinema to see, something that you expect to see. You just go to see how somebody spent like 5 years on something. So that's also, I think, something beautiful. Yeah, but I don't know, I really, I want to continue to do films, even though when I think about why I'm doing films, I don't really have an answer. Better to think, but better not to think at all. Because you cannot justify it.
Yeah. Sami has mentioned the audiences who are there, pressured into watching the film. Gregor, you will now slowly would you say, are you thinking when making films about the people who are going to watch it? Or which viewer are you thinking of, if you're thinking of it?
Hello, first, sorry for being late, but I'm working on another project which is not connected to cinema directly, and it's connected to fruits, so I just came from the orchard, and I invite everyone to come to the greatest capital of Europe, cultural capital of Europe, which is Nova Gorica this year. So just to, to answer your question, I don't know what was the question for them before, but I kind of got it. And what Ivan just said, that if you would ask me 10 years ago, I think I can especially deduct it from the discussions we had when we were younger, and I think we were more arrogant at the time. I think we really loved to think like Godard once said, even if I'm the only audience, it's okay. And now I'm not so sure that that's the case. I'm pretty much sure that from all the discussions, because I also work as a director of photography, so I work, I'm lucky enough to work with screenwriters and producers, but also with other directors. So I have to admit that in the recent years, I've heard more and more this wish to come closer to a certain public. And then, of course, the question is, who is this public? Who are these people that want to watch this kind of movies we do, no? And I think you get in a strange spiral that you then never come out of. So I still think that, and I think it's somebody else said it, I guess it was not Godard, but the only thing you can follow is actually what you, in that moment, as a viewer, think is good enough. And this is very difficult, because you get drained in the process and you lose distance. And I've witnessed many times, especially with because it's much more difficult when you are also the director, but especially when you're working with other directors, that in one moment the standard that was set here then inevitably falls down, and nobody remembers what was the initial standard. Because that's life, you know. Of course, we always work in very difficult conditions in our areas, so you can't expect perfection. But at the end, I will always remember, I was, I think, 15 years old, and I'm not wrong, Varya, I even watched your student short movie, along with other, like from the generation that I basically then afterwards did all this, let's say, at the time successful feature films. You know? There was like Božič, there was Michal, and so on. It doesn't matter. So I stumbled upon the projection of short movies in a student cultural center in Novi Gorica. And I remember we were watching them, so 15-year-old guys that thought no cinema, because we all liked very much Kubrick at the time. And we watched these short films and we thought it's pure shit. And then in 2 years I was there in this school and they were praising the same movies as the best ones. You know? And I think I'm still kind of I'm dragging that dilemma, because of course then later on I understood why they were actually really good for the student films, blah blah blah. You know? So it's always this question: how can you, in the means we have to create, how can you get to this standard that you had as I don't know that you had or that you have right now, but what you would really like to watch, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult because cinema is a very merciless art that is always in confront with all the stuff that is done in worldwide, and so it's very it's very hard. But in a way, I think it's the only way to try to keep a quality standards high. It's much easier than saying, okay, this is for this public, this is for this, because these publics, I think they don't exist anymore. I mean, yeah.
But in a way, Sami, as you were making these different forms of films and art, connected video installations and so, the film that we are going to watch this year is quite classic in a way. A documentary, you get lots of information, there are many layers. It is not a television documentary anyway, but you did choose to present this theme with a reason, probably, in this form.
Yes, well, I kind of, maybe because I work with different mediums and I'm not that, I don't really identify myself so much as a filmmaker, as a maker of films, or a maker of works, and they kind of come out of the different ideas I have. Some become films and some not. In this case, I felt that there was a kind of a thing that I found in the archives. I work a lot with archives and found footage and that kind of existing material and research that kind of area. So I kind of found something that I wanted to tell, and then I thought that I could make a video installation of it, but there would be in a local gallery, and this kind of a form of a kind of a documentary film, which is kind of going around in festivals and being shown to a kind of a broader public is the right appropriate medium or channel for this topic and this story and this because I wonder, obviously we all want to, with our little contribution, we want to put something in the world that then will resonate with the other stories and the other films and the other discussions about that topic, and that's what we're trying to. We're not trying to just put something. Well, I hope we're not just trying to put something brilliant there out and everybody to admire it, but it to be part of a discussion of film history in this case maybe, and then it resonates and it has its weaknesses and its strengths. But that's my contribution to it, and in this case that was the right form. I tried many other things, and then this seemed to be the best way to put it forward, and that was my motivation. And hopefully then somebody disagrees with it and makes another film about the topic which contradicts my version. That's even better, because then it's alive, and that's what we kind of want to do as well.
But perhaps to still stay with you, because this is one theme which kind of connects your films, which are totally different, all of them, but in a way Wait, I wrote it down. It's so that I don't know. Yeah, that you all kind of engage with history, or even more how history is narrated in a way. And with you, Sami, it's a very concrete, it's a narration of film history and something that a story about the pioneer of a documentary who had his there were some problems with this definition of his already put in light, but you make the story about him actually broader. You do not question his position, but you kind of open it up. I mean, this is part of your family history also, so maybe it was important for you in this point, but also in the narration of film history. It's quite complex. Why did you, want to tell your story or your view?
Well, I kind of, I maybe go to my pet topic, which is called slight resistance. This is a term I just kind of invented in the thing here. And it's the idea that, particularly when I've been doing a lot of experimental work on films and other kind of stuff, and there's a lot of resistance, and it's in a kind of safe space inside that genre of experimental film where everybody's trying to do something really wacky and it's all. I like the idea also that when, like, this work is now living in a kind of fairly general film festival world and maybe some other screenings and so on, and I'm trying to bring into this world a little resistance in how we're looking at film history. So my contribution is not necessarily the story itself, because it's been available there for anybody to use for 100 years, but nobody has oddly taken it to the front. And for some reason, because earlier all the people who were talking about this history were men, and they didn't want to discuss it, and they turned maybe some other reasons. And I like the idea that I don't have to bring up a really dramatic, super duper new, strong stance about something. I can just bring a slight resistance to the way the history is written and re-look at it a little bit, and then open it up for discussion. And that's my purpose or my intention. And I think it's back to this thing about me as a viewer. I like that kind of approach to the world where we don't go and say something's shit, but we look at it and wonder why it's wrong, and maybe correct our opinions about the stories or the narrations or how history is written, and that's okay with me. That's enough.
And even you, with your previous films, were very much in the here and now, about the atmosphere of life that you were in touch with, I would say. You told stories of other people, but in a very personal, very not sensual is the wrong word, but in experience.
I'm okay with it.
So it is interesting that with this new film you went into history, and you came in touch with history in a very unique way. We haven't seen this way yet, although it is rooted in a very concrete historic, let's say, moment for Montenegro. You interpreted the history in your very own way. If you could tell us a little bit about this approach, what was your intention, but what were your decisions also in this?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated because I finished this first film, and as you said, it was rooted in now. But also there were some traces of the past, very important and stuff like that. But first of all, I wanted to make like a full fiction film, and I wanted to create like a completely artificial space for me to experiment, like not to be so attached to contemporary image, because I also felt like it's exhausted in a way, so I wanted to create something, to be totally creative, let's say. So I was thinking, what should I do? And then I liked so many films like Herzog's films about history, for example, or stuff like that, which is like, they have a completely different approach. It's not like historical film, it also has this sense of nowness in a way. But then, yeah, no, I was also thinking how whenever I start working films, and that's something that I discovered, like when I started to work on my films, you have to find something that you are kind of ashamed of. Because many filmmakers, they are trying like to compete to be like somebody else, but actually what you have to do is you have to find something that you're hiding and then be brave to put it outside. It doesn't have to be personal, but in this case it's like a history of a people who is, Montenegrin history is a very small history, so if you're not aware about the history of Montenegro, it's fiction already. So it's a fact for people who doesn't know anything about it. So that was, for me, interesting part. The second part was, I didn't want to create like, it's not a speculation, it's not like this could be seen like that, or it's a film about how we perceive history, in a way.
Čas kar leti, ko se takole zabavamo, zatorej naj vas samo še lepo pozdravim in povabim, da se mi ponovno pridružite, seveda ob istem terminu, prihodnji teden ob 20. uri v sredo, ko si boste lahko gledali odlomke iz pogovora med filmskim kritikom Marcelom Štefančičem juniorjem in striparjem Zoranom Smiljaničem, ki sta ob izidu stripa o režiserju Fricu Langu o njem tudi spregovorila. No, strip, ki obeležuje 21 let Grossmanovega festivala fantastičnega filma in vina, ki se bo zgodil v začetku julija, naj bi tako razglasil Langa tudi za največjega slovenskega režiserja. Več o tem čez en teden v sredo ob 20. na Megafon TV. Čau!